Today you're going to be finding trig functions, and remember there are 6 of them, and you'll be finding all 6 trig functions given a point on the terminal side of an angle represented by theta. Just to recall, reference triangles are drawn to the x-axis, and the ones that we're dealing with today are only quadrant 1 triangles. So your triangles that you draw should all go to the x-axis, just like this green one right here, like that. Does this apply to you? If so, take care of yourself. Ask somebody. Okay, let's get started. Okay, the P just represents a point. So the point 3, 4, you know how to graph 3, 4, you go to 3 on the X, so over 3 and up 4. So we're going to go over 3 and up 4 and plot your point. So that's the point 3, 4. Now, as you go over and up, those are 2 sides of your triangle. Over 3, so go ahead and label that, and up 4, label that, and then sketch in your hypotenuse. Should connect to the origin, the 0, 0. Now, this angle at the origin, this is angle theta. So when you see the symbol theta over here in the problems, it's referring to that angle. So that's your reference point. If you think about drawing Pac-Man, your 4 is now your opposite side. Wouldn't hurt to go ahead and label that. And since your right angle is here, then your hypotenuse being across from the right angle, there's your hypotenuse. And so 3 is left to be your adjacent side. So we need to find the missing side first. How do you find a missing side of a right triangle? A squared plus b squared equals c squared, the Pythagorean theorem. Now, c is always your hypotenuse, so in this case we're finding the hypotenuse. And your a and b are 3 and 4. It doesn't matter which one comes first because adding the order doesn't matter. 3 plus 4, same as 4 plus 3. Substituting in the numbers, it looks like that. 3 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared. Remember, 3 squared, 3 times 3 is not 6. Common mistake. 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 times 4 is 16. And then 9 plus 16 is 25. And that is certainly too big. If you use your common sense, you're not going to have one side 3 and one side 4, and then the hypotenuse be 25. We have another step. We need to square root to get c, and the square root of 25 is 5. So there's your hypotenuse. There's your 5 goes there. Recall your 6 trig identities. Some old hippie caught another hippie tripping on acid. And then, therefore, the ones side by side are just flipping each fraction over. Those just flip over, and same with that one. Now, you try to write the 6 answers, 6 fractions. If it needs to be reduced, reduce it. And so there's your 6 trig functions. Luckily, none of those needed reducing. There they are. If you need to pause the video, feel free. Okay, you should try this one first. See if you can plot it correctly and draw your triangle correctly. You know, the 15, 8, draw it. And then see if you can find the missing side. Start the video again and check those 2 parts before you go on to the 6 trig functions. Okay, let's hope you drew your triangle to the x-axis so that your reference angle, Pac-Man goes there, so you got your opposite is 8, your adjacent is 15, and there's your hypotenuse. So you got 15 squared plus 8 squared, work it out. Square root at 17 is your hypotenuse. Did you get that right? There it goes. Okay, Pause the video again and see if you can fill out your 6 trig functions. And there you go. Double check me because it's late and I hope I haven't made any careless mistakes. Point them out, please, if I have. Okay, on to number 3. Now, you notice on that last one, I did not, count out 5 little hash marks to the right. I just drew my triangle. Said, oh, that's about 5. And up 2. And then connect. And there's my reference angle. So Pac-Man is at the origin, just as always. Okay, your turn. Pause the video. See if you can finish. Okay, this time the hypotenuse does something a little different. You'll notice that 29 does not have a square root, and I do not want you to put the big long decimal that the calculator gives you. 29 is a prime number. If you try to break that down, 1 times 29 is all you could do. So we're going to leave it, square root of 29, and that is our hypotenuse. Okay, when you do the opposite over hypotenuse and adjacent over hypotenuse and so forth, those are the answers you get. But stop a minute, because 2 of those 6 answers cannot be left in the format that they're in. Do you remember which 2? You should say that, oh, I can't leave a square root on the bottom of the fraction. I have to rationalize those denominators. So this one and this one need some extra work. So what kind of extra work does it need? Remember that we have to multiply it by something. Maybe that denominator, the square root 29 on top and bottom. So square root 29, top and bottom. And the purpose of doing that on the bottom, you don't really have to multiply 29 times 29 because it's the square root of 29 squared. That looks like this. The square root, whoops, let me find something to write with. The square root of 29 times 29. So that this cancels this out and it turns into just 29. So don't waste the time trying to type it in the calculator. And the top, we just multiply 2 times square root of 29, and since both of those are not roots, they're not alike. Don't multiply them, combine them. We'll just leave it 2 square root 29 over 29. So this is the proper format for sine. Alright, pause the video and you try cosine. You try to rationalize the denominator for cosine 5 over square root 29. And check yourself. Did you get cosine theta equals 5 square root 29 over 29? So that should be written like this instead. Okay, now it's your turn. You're going to do numbers 4 and 5 on the back. Now, I didn't write out every part of it, but you're still doing the same 3 things. You need to graph it, you need to find the missing side, and you need to do all 6 trig functions for each problem. Now, the last one, let me just give you a little hint because you might have a question about that one. Since both of these are positive numbers, root 2 is about 1 point something, root 7 is about 2 point something. They're still 2 positive numbers, so you're still going to sketch it the same way. You're going to go to the right about 1 point something and up about 2 something, so that this will be root 2 and this will be root 7. Do not change those to decimals, please. Don't want that. And remember, when you're doing a squared plus b squared, for example, square root 7 squared, what happens to the root with an exponent? They just undo each other. They undo each other. So the square cancels out the root, and it's just 7. Remember that when you're doing the a squared and b squared. Good luck.